Oh boy, Harman Smith cannot keep From Software out of his name. Let's get into it.
If FromSlop was actually a popular development studio, if people actually liked the games, if people actually thought they were a top tier developer, people would be excited about their new IP, Dusk Bloods, coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch 2. But
Well, Harman, you have to understand, with From Software fans, From Software, I believe, only put one, maybe two exclusives on the PS5, and all their other ones have been third party. So now they're putting another exclusive on the Nintendo Switch too. They don't want to have to go and buy a whole nother console just to play an exclusive game like that. That's the reason why. Trust me, they have not forgotten it, like you're saying in your title. They remember, they know who Duskbloods is.
instead, what we gotten is this deafening silence from the community. Like we don't even really know anything about the game yet, and yet there's this really strong feeling in the Souls community that like nobody cares, nobody's excited for this. This was a failure right from the onset, right?
I have never heard a single Souls person say when they sat there and released that trailer that showed that was going to be an exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2, there were many people excited for it. They thought it was going to be a Bloodborne 2. Now, when they realized it was on a Switch 2, I heard numerous people sit there and say, well, I might just get a Switch 2 just to play that game. But the reason why you haven't been hearing that much is because you just sat there and said it. We don't know anything about the game. They haven't released any more footage of it. Just wait until they release another trailer, then you'll start hearing people talking again.
This is the reality behind the Souls thing. It was just something that the gaming establishment could use to weaponize against Nintendo.
Nobody is weaponizing against Nintendo. Just because Nintendo finds a very hard time to win a game of the year doesn't mean that the industry is out for Nintendo.
Now that we have a Nintendo exclusive Souls game coming out, nobody cares. Now that we're getting Elden Ring on Nintendo consoles, nobody cares, right? These aren't games that can exist on Nintendo platforms because they are lesser experiences compared to like what we get.
No, these games shouldn't go to the Nintendo console just because you guys aren't used to these level of games. You're not used to the challenge. You guys are used to games that are meant for children that hold your hand.
All the time. We get more difficult games, we get better open world games, we get better action games, right? We get better RPGs. Like, there is nothing that Souls does that other Nintendo games don't do better.
Can you name one single game, just one, Harman, that is half as challenging as a From Software game? Here, I'll wait.
And Duskbloods, I think, is going to be a very strong indication of that in practice. This game's going to come out, people are going to play it, they're going to do this thing where like, well, it's not very good, and then move on to the next thing.
I actually think so too, because again, Nintendo fans are not used to challenging games. All you got on games on there are for children that hold your hand, and they're the easiest that they can make them. Literally, you cannot make a game easier than what a Nintendo IP is.
This is what happened to FromSlop back when they made like GameCube games back in the day. Nobody cared about Lost Kingdom 1 or 2.
Well, nobody really cared about the GameCube compared to the PS2 anyways.
But like, because of circumstances, culturally speaking, with gamers and like, how everything was getting casualized, like Dark Souls got a cult following, and that just propped up this mediocre IP to like this fad status. And
I think you got that confused with Nintendo games like Princess Peach Showtime.
And I do think that really needs to be emphasized when talking about Souls going forward, is that this is just a fad. It's not something that's going to endure. It's not something that's going to like stay relevant, right? This isn't a genre that's going to stick around. Like FromSlop games are a fad.
The only thing that's a fad are games like Princess Peach Showtime or Mother and Luigi Brothership.
No different than like all the Space Invader clones of like the 80s, or like, all the attempts at creating like animal mascot characters.
Didn't Nintendo have many Space Invader clones? Just wondering.
In the vein of Sonic the Hedgehog in the 90s, like Souls are a fad. Souls likes are a fad. None of them have taken off at all. You know, all of them are only relevant because they're leeching off of like the Souls formula, and none of them are really all that well made or interesting to begin with.
Yeah, Elden Ring is still relevant to this day. That's why it's coming to your precious Switch too. I actually hope it does do well. I really do. I don't think it will because I don't think you guys are able to handle a challenging game like that. But I really do hope that it does well. I hope it sells so much that it goes above your Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sales.
You know, people only love Souls because it's Souls.
Yes, that's the point. People love soul games because they're souls. That's the point of the game, Harman.
And anything that like deviates from that formula or does anything a little bit differently is like condemned by the community. Just look at how like Night Rain was received. You know, just look at how like people hated like Armored Core 6. You know,
Armored Core 6 wasn't even a Souls game, and Night Rain, they don't know how to feel about it. What are you talking about? It's not received well. They don't know how to feel about it because number one, it's not out. Number two, it's a multiplayer game. So they're probably worried about some live service elements.
And look at how people are receiving Dusk Bloods. You know, like a Nintendo exclusive FromSoft game is getting ignored by the community because, of course, it is.
Because only one trailer has come out, you fucking idiot. Even you said that earlier in the video. You were like, oh, we don't know that much about the game. No wonder nobody's talking about it.
It doesn't matter how good the game is. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how it plays. Like, the reality is, it's a Nintendo game and has to be rejected because we can't allow a Nintendo game to reach the pedigree and respect that like Elden Ring received.
You know, I'm gonna laugh so hard if this game actually wins Game of the Year. Imagine if it beat Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World. I think that Harman might actually lose it.
When it first launched, right? That's the reality of this situation. Is that like much like Bayonetta 2 before it, you know, Dusk Bloods going Nintendo exclusive is a sign that FromSoft is about to fall out of favor from the mainstream gaming establishment.
Harman, the only thing that's going to fall out of favor is that hairline of yours. You know, I do actually watch your shorts. I was actually proud of you at first when you sat there and did that one short where you were jogging and you were like, oh, I'm going to get up to 5 miles a day for a run. Hey, I hope you do. And then in the next damn one, the next short, you sat there and was like, oh, already 1 mile down. You're full of shit. You didn't just get done running a mile on that damn short. How out of shape and how overweight you are. If you would have ran a mile, you would have been breathing super heavily. You would have been sweating like a stuffed pig. There wasn't a single bead of sweat coming from your head. So there's no way that you ran a mile.
This is a major sign that like the FromSoft formula is not sustainable. That FromSoft knows it's not sustainable. That they know it's a fad.
Yeah, that's why From Software Souls games have sold almost 80 million copies worldwide. Yeah, they're such a fad. They've sold almost 80 million. And with Duskbloods coming out, and with the Night Rain coming out, and also with the Elden Ring Tarnished Edition coming to the Switch too, they're probably going to hit almost 100 million with those three.
That they know they have to move on to something else, and yet their fanboy audience isn't going to let them go. You know, they desperately like they will not allow FromSoft to make anything even slightly different from Elden Ring, essentially.
They made Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. Many people sit there and say that's an amazing game, which I need to get that game to play.
So this is their way of trying to get away from them and trying to do something a little bit different and trying to innovate a little bit and trying to develop for like a superior video game platform for once. And
what do you mean different? It's going to be a Souls game. It's not like they're going to sit there and create you guys a non-Souls game. Actually, that would be funny. Imagine if they sat there and said, oh, they're going to think it's a Souls game, but it's probably going to be the easiest one because it's coming to the Switch too.
The fan base is rejecting that. They are genuinely upset about Duskbloods existing and it being a Nintendo exclusive. You know, like it's definitely going to be really interesting, like seeing this game come out. Because
yes, you are correct. They probably are upset that it's going to be a Nintendo exclusive because now they're going to have to go buy a Nintendo console just to be able to play that game. Or if they have a PC, I guarantee you it's going to be on PC.
I think it's guaranteed at this point that the game is going to sell significantly less than other FromSoft games. It's going to be received far more critically than other FromSoft games, and there won't be a major defense force for Duskbloods like there was for Elden Ring back in the day.
I don't know why you sit there and keep saying back in the game. That game is still selling extremely well. And if what you say about Dusk Bloods is true, it's probably because the Nintendo people don't know how to play those games. They can't handle even something that's half as challenging as those games.
Like, it was sacrilegious to talk down about Elden Ring for a long time. I don't think Duskbloods is going to have anywhere near that kind of protection. You know, like, people mean so hard about Elden Ring being like Game of the Year.
I mean, it wasn't a meme. It literally won Game of the Year. It literally whooped your Nintendo exclusives asses.
I don't even think Duskbloods will get nominated. You know, like, I don't think it's going to sell like over 10 million units.
I mean, 10 million units for any game is pretty hard to accomplish. You're setting an extremely high bar for that game. You sit there and hold Mario and Luigi Brothership and Princess Peach Showtime in such a high esteem, neither of those games ever hit 10 million.
You know, like, I don't think anybody's going to care about this game at all when it actually comes out. It's just going to be buried by all of the superior Nintendo games launching in 2026, right?
Can you please explain what other games are coming in 2026? The only ones I can find is Rhythm Heaven and Tamagotchi Life. Those two games don't even stand a chance to Dusk Bloods. So Dusk Bloods actually might have a chance of winning Game of the Year next year.
It's going to be embarrassing how badly Duskbloods gets completely and totally wrecked by...
No, the only thing embarrassing is when it's going to make you look stupid. I can't wait for you to actually live stream this game, play a little bit of it. Maybe you'll hit 10 hours instead of 8 hours like you did with Elden Ring, and you'll actually show that you actually enjoy the game just like you did with Elden Ring, but you don't want to admit it.
By the other Nintendo exclusives, right? There are just so many other games that are more hardcore than Duskbloods.
You're acting like that Nintendo's getting so many new exclusives next year. They're only known to get 3, Duskbloods, Tamagotchi Life, and Rhythm Heaven, and those other 2 games are nowhere near the level of difficulty or hardcore as Duskbloods is going to be.
What's going to be different about this is that because it's an exclusive, you're not going to have PC, PlayStation, or Xbox fanboys coming out and damage controlling for it.
No, maybe not them, but you know who will? Oh yeah, that's right. The PC community will, because you know they're going to get that game.
You know, the reality is that being a Nintendo exclusive means that the industry does not have any kind of incentive to defend this particular release.
Oh, don't you worry. Davy Jones is already en route on his Flying Dutchman to sail it over to PC. Don't you worry.
You know, Bloodborne, was sold shockingly poorly.
It sold over 7 million copies. What do you mean it was sold poorly? You're an idiot.
In spite of its glowing critical praise, right? Like, Duskbloods, I think, is going to be a repeat of that. I think it's going to be very similar in that regard, where
yes, Duskbloods will probably sell more than Princess Peach Showtime and Mario and Luigi Brothership combined. You are correct.
This is going to sell significantly less than Elden Ring because there will be absolutely no hype behind it, and not a single FromSoft fan is going to care. They are going to say it was well-deserved because FromSoft should never have partnered with Nintendo. They don't love the company. They don't love their games or the development studios. They just hate Nintendo.
That is so wrong. Okay, you know what? Yeah, most likely it probably will not sell as much as Elden Ring did, because most games do not even come close to the status that Elden Ring has hit. It is very rare for a game to get to that level. Do you realize that Elden Ring has sold more copies than all 3 of the Dark Souls games combined? Harman, that makes no damn sense. You need to really use Google and do your own research. Well, that's it for my reaction. Let me know down in the comment if you agree with me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.